The capital city of Etran had stood for almost 800 years. Millions of people lived there. Towering skyscrapers reached into the clouds. Flying vehicles crossed the sky in glowing streams of light. Markets never closed. Factories never slept. Politicians ruled the entire Terran Federation from the shining heart of civilization. And beneath all of it, something was breathing. Nobody knew. Nobody remembered. Because the truth had been buried long before recorded history. Deep below the city, thousands of meters under layers of rock and forgotten tunnels, a massive living creature slept in absolute darkness. Its heartbeat echoed through the earth like distant thunder. Slow, steady, patient. For centuries, nobody noticed. Or perhaps nobody wanted to. Dr. Lena Hart was one of the few people who paid attention to strange things. She worked for the Geological Stability Authority, a department so boring that most citizens forgot it existed. Her job was simple: monitor underground activity, predict earthquakes, prevent tunnel collapses. Nothing exciting ever happened, until the day the city began to shake. The tremor lasted only 4 seconds. Buildings remained standing. No damage was reported. Most people ignored it. But Lena didn't. When she examined the seismic readings, something immediately felt wrong. The vibrations weren't spreading outward like an earthquake. They were moving upward, as if something below was pushing against the planet itself. She checked the data 3 times. Then 4. The numbers stayed the same. "That's impossible," she whispered. The sensors showed a pulse unlike anything in geological records. It appeared every 23 minutes. Perfectly regular. Perfectly rhythmic. Like a heartbeat. Lena submitted a report to her supervisor. The answer arrived within an hour. Data error. Case closed. She frowned. The response came too quickly. Nobody could have properly reviewed the evidence in that amount of time. Something felt hidden. That night, unable to sleep, she accessed older archives. Most files were routine. Mining records. Construction plans. Ancient city expansions. Then she found something strange. A collection of sealed documents dating back over 400 years. Access restricted. Authorization denied. That made her even more curious. Using her senior clearance, she opened a summary file. Only 3 sentences appeared. Subterranean Zone 7 remains sealed. Do not excavate below depth marker Omega. The sleeper must remain undisturbed. Lena stared at the screen. The sleeper. Before she could investigate further, the file vanished. Deleted remotely. Someone was watching. The next morning, security officers arrived at her office. Not police. Not military. Something else. They wore black uniforms with no insignia. One of them placed a tablet on her desk. "Your investigation ends here, Doctor." Lena looked at him carefully. "What is the sleeper?" The officer's expression remained cold. "You never saw that file. And if I keep looking?" For the first time, the man's face changed. Not anger. Fear. Real fear. Then he leaned closer. "If the thing beneath this city ever wakes up." His voice became barely a whisper. "The capital won't survive the first hour." The officers left without another word. Lena sat frozen in her chair. Outside her window, millions of people continued their daily lives. Children went to school. Workers filled the streets. Government ships landed on towering platforms. Nobody had any idea that something enormous rested directly beneath them. And far below the city, in the endless darkness, one gigantic eye slowly opened. The heartbeat beneath Etran grew slightly faster. For the first time in centuries, the monster was beginning to wake up. The first sign that something was wrong was the silence. Etran was never silent. The capital city was famous for its endless noise. Millions of footsteps moved through the streets every day. Machines worked without stopping. Ships arrived and departed from the sky ports every minute. But on that morning, the ground beneath the city stopped making sense. Construction machines across the lower districts suddenly shut down. Not because they broke. Because their operators felt something. A vibration. A a deep sound that could not be heard with human ears. It was something people felt in their bones. Lena Hart stood inside the underground monitoring facility, staring at the impossible readings on the main screen. The pulse was stronger now. The heartbeat beneath the city had changed. "It knows we're here," said Commander Elias Voss. Lena turned around. She had not heard him enter. The commander was part of the same organization that had erased the old records. He was supposed to be the person stopping her investigation. Instead, he looked exhausted. "Afraid." "You knew," Lena said. Elias looked at the massive display showing the underground layers beneath Etran. 4 generations. The room became quiet. "Tell me the truth," Lena demanded. The commander slowly walked closer. 800 years ago, when the first settlers built this city, they discovered something under the planet's surface. A creature. Not just a creature. He looked at the image forming from the scans. A living mountain. Lena watched as the computer created a rough shape from the underground data. The size was impossible. The creature was larger than entire city districts. Its body was buried beneath kilometers of stone, its armored skin mixed with the planet itself. "It has been there this whole time?" she asked. Elias nodded. "The founders discovered it accidentally. They thought it was dead. They built their first structures above it because they believed they were safe. But it wasn't dead." "No." The commander looked at the ceiling. It was sleeping. Lena felt a cold feeling move through her. Why didn't anyone tell the people? Because people panic when they learn their home is built on top of a sleeping monster. The words were simple, but true. Elias continued. The first leaders decided the truth would destroy civilization. They created secret departments to monitor it. Every generation passed the information to the next. Then why is it waking up now? Neither of them answered immediately. Because they already knew. Humanity had expanded too far. The city had grown deeper and deeper underground. Mining tunnels, energy reactors, artificial gravity systems. Etran had been digging closer to the creature for decades. "We disturbed it," Lena whispered. The commander nodded. "And now we need to decide what happens next." Before Lena could respond, every screen in the facility turned red. A warning appeared. Unknown biological movement detected. The ground shook. Not like an earthquake. This was different. The entire underground facility moved upward by several centimeters. People screamed. Lights flickered. Then a sound traveled through the walls. A roar. Not loud. Not explosive. Something worse. A sound from something ancient. Something powerful enough that the planet itself seemed to carry its voice. Lena looked at the readings. The creature was moving. After centuries of sleep, the monster beneath the capital city had finally opened its eyes. And now, for the first time in human history, humanity had to face a being that had existed long before their civilization was born. But what terrified Lena the most was not its size. It was the data appearing on the screen. The creature was not attacking. It was moving upward, toward the city, as if it was coming to see what had been built above it. As if it was searching for the species that had been sleeping on top of it for centuries. And Etran had no idea what was coming. Within hours, the entire capital was on alert. Emergency broadcasts filled every screen. Officials blamed the tremors on underground instability. Citizens were told to remain calm. Most people listened. Some did not. Rumors spread faster than official reports. Videos appeared across the planetary network showing cracks forming in streets throughout the city. Entire buildings were being evacuated. Public transportation systems were shutting down one by one. Nobody knew the truth, but everyone could feel that something enormous was happening. Far below the city, Lena Hart stood inside the central command bunker. The giant display showed the creature's position. It was still rising. Slowly. Steadily. Nothing humanity possessed seemed capable of stopping it. Military leaders from across the Federation appeared through holographic communications. Some demanded immediate action. Others wanted evacuation plans. A few argued that the creature should be destroyed before it reached the surface. General Marcus Hale spoke first. "We have orbital cannons. We have planetary defense weapons. If this thing becomes a threat, we eliminate it." Lena looked at the biological scans. "We don't even know what it is. We know it's large enough to destroy the capital. That doesn't mean it's hostile." The room erupted into arguments. Then everything stopped. A new reading appeared. The creature had changed direction. Instead of moving directly upward, it was heading toward the oldest part of the city, the Founders District, the exact location where the first settlers had established Etran centuries ago. Commander Elias frowned. "Why they?" Nobody had an answer. The creature continued moving. And then it happened. The ground broke. Across the Founders District, roads split apart. Ancient stone monuments collapsed. Massive cracks raced through parks and plazas. Millions watched through live broadcasts. The earth itself seemed to tear open. People ran. Vehicles filled the streets. Emergency sirens screamed. Then an entire city block sank into darkness. Dust exploded into the air. The shaking became so violent that nearby skyscrapers swayed. Lena watched the disaster unfold from command. The monster was directly beneath the surface. Every military unit in the capital was deployed. Hover tanks surrounded the area. Attack aircraft filled the skies. Orbital defense satellites locked onto the target. Humanity prepared for war. Then the creature emerged. At first, people thought it was a mountain. A colossal black structure rose from the crater. Dust rolled off its surface like clouds. Then the mountain moved. Millions of citizens froze. The thing was alive. Its armored body was larger than entire districts. Ancient plates covered its skin like natural fortresses. Glowing lines of blue energy flowed between the massive layers of armor. The creature continued rising. Higher, 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 until its head finally emerged from the crater. The city became silent. Its eyes opened. Gigantic golden eyes. Not filled with rage. Not filled with hunger. Filled with awareness. The creature looked around slowly. Like someone waking from a long sleep. Like someone confused by a world that had changed. Military targeting systems immediately locked onto it. Hundreds of weapons prepared to fire. General Hale gave the order. "All units engage." Lena's heart nearly stopped. No! But it was too late. The first orbital beam struck the creature's shoulder. A flash of light filled the sky. The explosion was powerful enough to shake the city. When the smoke cleared, the creature had not moved. Not even a little. The attack had left only a faint mark on its armor. Every officer in command stared in disbelief. The creature slowly turned its head toward the sky. Toward the weapons attacking it. And for the first time, something changed in its eyes. Not anger. Disappointment. As if humanity had just failed an important test. Then the ancient giant spoke. Its voice echoed across the entire capital. One sentence. 6 words. Words that no one expected to hear. "Why have my children forgotten me?" The entire planet heard the message. "Why have my children forgotten me?" For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the military commanders who had been preparing for battle sat frozen in silence. The creature's voice had not come through speakers. It had echoed directly inside every person's mind. Across Etran, millions of citizens stared at the giant being standing among the shattered ruins of the Founders District. Children stopped crying. Soldiers lowered their weapons. People simply watched. The monster looked down at the city. Not with hatred. Not with hunger. With sadness. Lena Hart stood in the command bunker, unable to take her eyes off the screen. "Children," she whispered. Commander Elias looked equally shocked. Then another forgotten archive appeared on the main display. Someone had unlocked the deepest classified files. Files that had remained hidden for centuries. The oldest record was nearly 800 years old. It contained a message from the first human settlers who had arrived on the planet. Lena opened it. A faded recording appeared. The image showed exhausted colonists standing beside an enormous golden eye buried within the earth. The speaker was one of the colony founders. His voice shook as he spoke. If anyone sees this, know the truth. The being beneath this world is not our enemy. The room became silent. The recording continued. Our colony ship crashed during arrival. We lost power. We lost food. We lost nearly everything. Images flashed across the screen. Broken ships. Burning wreckage. Desperate survivors. Then came another image. The giant creature. The same one now standing beneath the capital. The Guardian found us, the founder said. It protected us from the planet's predators. It guided us to water. It defended our settlement during the long winter. Lena felt her heart racing. The creature had saved them. The founder continued. We do not understand what it truly is. We only know that without it, humanity would have vanished from this world. The recording ended. Another began. And another. Dozens of records. All telling the same story. The creature had protected the first settlers for years. It had helped humanity survive when extinction seemed certain. The colonists had eventually named it Astrius. The Guardian. The protector beneath the mountain. Then came the final recording. A message left by the last surviving founder. His face looked old and tired. Astrius is preparing for its long sleep. Behind him stood the giant creature. Peaceful. Watching. We promised future generations would remember. The old man lowered his head. I pray they keep that promise. The recording ended. The room fell silent. Nobody spoke. Because everyone knew what had happened. Humanity had forgotten. Centuries had passed. Records had been lost. Governments had hidden the truth. Stories had become myths. Eventually, even the myths disappeared. Only secret organizations remained, guarding a secret they no longer understood. Above the city, Astrius slowly walked forward. Each step shook the ground. Yet somehow, despite its immense size, it carefully avoided damaging nearby buildings. As though it was trying not to hurt anyone. The giant lowered its head toward the skyline. Its golden eyes reflected thousands of towers. A civilization that had grown while it slept. Then another voice echoed across every mind. This time softer. Almost gentle. I slept believing humanity was safe. The creature paused. Its gaze moved toward the stars overhead. Then the fear began. Because something else appeared on military sensors. Hundreds of objects were entering orbit. Unknown vessels. Massive vessels. A fleet. An alien fleet. The command center erupted into alarms. Officers shouted. Screens flashed red. General Hale stared at the readings in horror. That's impossible. Lena looked at the numbers. There were too many ships. Far too many. An invasion force. And according to the sensors, they had been hiding beyond the system's outer edge for months. Waiting. Watching. Preparing. Astrius looked up at the sky. And for the first time since awakening, the ancient Guardian smiled. Panic swept through the capital. The alien fleet filled the skies above the planet like a storm of steel. Hundreds of warships emerged from orbit. Then thousands more appeared behind them. The sensors struggled to count them all. For decades, humanity had believed the Terran Federation possessed one of the strongest militaries in known space. Now everyone understood how wrong they had been. The invasion force was enormous. Its ships were larger than cities. Its weapons dwarfed anything humanity had ever faced. Emergency broadcasts spread across the planet. Military fleets launched from orbital stations. Defense platforms activated. Planetary shields powered up. But every commander knew the truth. If the invaders attacked with full strength, the capital would not survive. Inside the command bunker, General Hale stared at the tactical display. His face had gone pale. Can we stop them? No one answered. The silence was answer enough. Lena looked toward the giant figure standing among the city towers. Astrius was still watching the sky. Calm. Patient. Almost as if this situation was familiar. Then a transmission arrived. Not from humanity. From the alien fleet. A massive holographic image appeared above every screen on the planet. The face that emerged was unlike anything most humans had ever seen. Gray skin, for glowing eyes, armor covered in symbols. The alien leader looked directly at the world below. People of Earth. Its voice echoed across global communications. We have returned. Returned. The word sent chills through Lena. The alien continued. Long ago, your species escaped our empire and vanished into unexplored space. The command center became silent. Ancient history records spoke of humanity fleeing unknown enemies before the Federation was founded. Most historians believed the stories were legends. Apparently they were not. The alien leader smiled. You were difficult to find. His expression hardened. But not impossible. Thousands of weapons activated across the enemy fleet. The invasion was about to begin. Then Astrius moved. The giant stepped forward. The city trembled beneath its weight. Every camera immediately focused on the ancient Guardian. The alien leader's expression changed. For the first time, fear appeared on his face. Real fear. Astrius looked directly at the fleet. Its golden eyes narrowed. Then the giant spoke. One word. You. The alien commander's confidence vanished instantly. Lena saw officers aboard the enemy ships suddenly rushing around in panic. Emergency signals flooded the sensors. The invaders recognized Astrius. And they were terrified. The alien leader shouted something in his own language. The fleet immediately opened fire. Thousands of energy beams descended from orbit. Enough firepower to destroy entire continents. Citizens screamed. Military officers braced for impact. Then Astrius raised one enormous arm. A wall of golden light appeared above the planet. The bombardment struck the barrier. And stopped. Every beam. Every missile. Every weapon. Blocked. The entire world watched in disbelief. The Guardian had shielded the planet. The alien commander looked horrified. Astrius slowly lifted its head. For the first time, its voice carried undeniable power. I defeated your empire before humanity built its first city. The alien fleet began retreating. Not attacking. Retreating. As fast as possible. But Astrius was already moving. Golden energy surged across its ancient armor. The clouds parted. The oceans trembled. And the giant Guardian launched itself upward. Straight toward space. Toward the fleeing fleet. Toward a war that had apparently begun centuries before humanity even existed. And this time, the ancient protector had awakened. The entire world watched. Millions stood in silence as Astrius rose beyond the atmosphere. The giant Guardian climbed through the clouds and entered space surrounded by streams of golden light. Humanity's military fleets followed at a safe distance. Nobody wanted to interfere. Nobody wanted to become caught between Astrius and the alien empire that feared it. Above the planet, the battle began. Or rather, what humanity thought would be a battle. The alien fleet opened fire immediately. Thousands of weapons unleashed enough energy to devastate worlds. The darkness of space became a sea of explosions. Yet Astrius continued forward. Unaffected. Unstoppable. Golden shields surrounded its colossal body. Enemy beams shattered against them like rain hitting stone. The invaders launched entire waves of attack craft. Astrius swept one arm through space. A pulse of golden energy expanded outward. Hundreds of warships lost power instantly. Their weapons shut down. Their engines failed. The vessels drifted helplessly through space. The Guardian was not destroying them. It was disabling them. Showing restraint. Showing control. Inside the command bunker, Lena watched in amazement. He could wipe them out, she said. Commander Elias nodded. But he doesn't want to. The truth became clear. Astrius was not a monster. Never had been. Humanity had simply forgotten what a Guardian looked like when it was large enough to move mountains. The alien flagship made one final attempt. Its main weapon began charging. Sensors detected energy levels unlike anything ever recorded. The commander of the alien fleet appeared on every screen again. This time he looked desperate. You should have remained asleep, Guardian. Astrius stopped. The giant stared at the flagship. Then came the answer. A voice that echoed across space, across the fleet, and across every human communication network. And you should have learned from your last defeat. The flagship fired. A beam brighter than a star crossed space. For one moment, everyone feared the worst. Then Astrius opened both hands. The beam stopped. Simply stopped. Held between two enormous golden fields of energy. The impossible sight left everyone speechless. Astrius redirected the attack upward. The beam vanished harmlessly into deep space. The alien fleet finally broke. Ships turned away. Retreat signals spread across the formation. Within minutes, the invasion force began jumping out of the system. One by one. Then hundreds at a time. Then thousands. Until nothing remained. The greatest invasion humanity had ever faced ended without a single city being destroyed. Without a single world being lost. Because one ancient guardian had stood between humanity and extinction. Cheers erupted across the planet. People filled the streets. For the first time since Astrius awakened, they no longer looked at it with fear. They looked at it with gratitude. Hours later, the giant returned to the surface. The citizens of Etran gathered around the massive crater where Astrius had first emerged. Lena stood among them. Astrius lowered its enormous head. Its golden eyes scanned the city. The people. The civilization that had grown while it slept. Then it spoke one final time. You have become stronger than I imagined. Lena stepped forward. And we forgot you. Astrius remained silent for a moment. Then the giant smiled. What matters is that you remember now. The citizens cheered. Some cried. Others simply stood in awe. The Guardian slowly turned toward the ancient depths beneath the city. Its task was complete. Humanity could protect itself now. Before descending back into its resting place, Astrius looked once more at the people above. Its voice carried across the capital. Call if you truly need me. Then the giant disappeared beneath the earth. The ground closed behind it. The city remained standing. The Guardian returned to sleep. But this time, humanity would never forget. Monuments were built. Records were restored. Children learned the story of Astrius in every school across the Federation. Not as a monster beneath the city, but as the protector who had watched over humanity for centuries. And deep below the capital, beneath layers of stone and history, the ancient Guardian slept peacefully, knowing that its children finally remembered its name. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more HFY adventures among the stars.